Kanchi Kiowa. Hello, how are you well? Welcome to Homelands, originally broadcast on CFCR Community Radio 90.5 FM in Saskatoon, Homelands of the Métis and Treaty 6 Territory, CFCR.ca. This is your favorite Auntie Andrea Letting, Dishni Kashoon. My name is Andrea Letting. Call me Auntie Andy if you like, and I'll be your host over this next half hour. I'm part settler, part relative, and 100% ally in relation to everyone. I'm just me, not a card-carrying member of any Indigenous nation, but I am loved, adopted, related to, and accepted by many, rejected by a few, haters gonna hate, relators gonna relate. I'm blessed to have Indigenous relations in my family and secretly may love them a little bit more than all the rest, only because they're the first peoples of this land who welcomed all the guests. But I'm also of Irish descent and some Scandinavian, along with a little bit of mystery, and that's the way I was raised. Strongly anti-colonial and justice-oriented with a big related heart for all. I most empathized with my Batoche Métis friends and family and that history and culture growing up, and as an adult have continued to try to live that Mio Pimitswin. Big mouthful there. That beautiful good life. So it's a big concept. So from the fringes of the Sash, I situate myself as a relative and an ally and welcome you, my listeners, as brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, cousins in the homeland. So let's welcome our relative tonight. I'm very happy to welcome my sister from another mister, Jennifer Dawn Bishop. She is the artistic director of Gordon Tatusis Naganoan Theatre. She is also a contributor, artist, and curator for a exciting new initiative coming up. That's a partnership between Gordon Naganoan Theatre and the Indigenous National Artistic Center, NAC, from Ottawa. So it's a huge thing. There's only three cities: Vancouver, Saskatoon, and what is the other city? Ottawa, I think, right?
Ottawa.
Yeah, that are participating in this. And so Vancouver launched last week, and this week, June 10th, Thursday, is when Saskatoon launches, and it's going to be, Jennifer's going to tell us a bit more about this. And we're also welcoming Danny Knight. So we're just letting him into the Zoom room here, but I'll tell you a little bit about Danny while he joins us. Danny Knight is, now Jen is Métis, Danny is Cree, and he is one of the famous knights from Muscadet, and he is an actor as well as a writer, and he is one of the curators for our show, which we're also going to talk about. So welcome, Danny.
Hey.
So first off, maybe Jen, if you could tell us a little bit more about the whole kind of concept of the curated memories in the city.
Well, again, when we were approached with this project, and I was in charge of gathering the memories and the artists specifically for our Treaty 6 territory here in Saskatoon. So we had put a call out for submissions, and so I had a pile of these beautiful memories to look through, as well as our artist submissions. And it was interesting of pairing up the memory with the artist, but also just kind of like having that back and forth conversation, because we also want to be thoughtful about it. So it was such an amazing opportunity to be part of this from the Indigenous Snack Center in Vancouver, and meeting all these other artists, as well as like the stories here in Saskatoon, or just even moments of memory, and not necessarily just like historical at all in nature, and just really bringing out this beauty in our city, and it was just wonderful to be a part of this project. I'm so grateful that we're one of 3 cities being able to have this out in the world.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So given that it's June and it's National Indigenous History Month kind of thing, of course, we have National Indigenous Peoples Day coming up on June 21st and things like that. Danny, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the importance of teaching our history to everybody, and kind of telling these stories and your experience with it all?
Well, why I think it's important to for us to tell our history is, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of people understand it now, but for a long time they didn't. But it's pretty much just like colonialistic society doesn't teach our history well. It doesn't know our history, doesn't want to know our history. It's try to erase our history, like all those things. So what better than from the horse's mouth, right? You know what I mean? The Mr. Tim's mouth. So yeah, so that's really pretty much like the only reason, like that's why it's important, is because our stories get misconstrued. Our stories get like, not that we look for glory, but our glory does get stolen, like veterans, you know, like, our identity gets stolen, and then like none of these people donate back or work for the communities or whatever like that. And if they do, it's usually self-serving in a way for them to feel better about how they take our culture and tell it. So that's why it's important for us to tell our stories, for sure. I forgot the second part of the question.
No, that was good. Yeah, and I just wanted to hear more about the story that you told and a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my story, my memory was it was a little unique compared to the rest. That one is probably, maybe I didn't get to see everybody, so I don't know. I only saw Lance's and Sean's because they're my bros and we shared. But like theirs were like about, their memories were more akin with the project outlines about how it what was Saskatoon before Saskatoon, right? My story took place about in the 1970s. So it was like well long after Saskatoon had been established, and I was actually struggling with that a little bit. I was kind of expecting a bit of a different memory, and but as I was searching through it and reading through it and trying to connect with it, there was something in there that is as old as time, and that's the strength of Indigenous women. My story is about this lady named Elizabeth, who, like, she did the residential school experience. She didn't talk about that very much at all. She just said she'd graduated, then she'd moved in with some guy, her partner, she called him, and they made a family and lived in BC, and he turned out to be an alcoholic, and like in the 1970s, you know, alcoholism wasn't really like acknowledged, you know, as much as it is nowadays, or people are working on it. And so anyway, so she left him and she took her kids and she moved to Prince Albert, BC. And to do something like that, especially in the 70s with the social climate way different than it is now, being a woman by yourself, first of all, wasn't very cool. Being a woman by yourself with 2 kids wasn't very cool, you know what I mean? And she did it, man. She, like, leaving your husband at that time was like, it would have been like, you know, blasphemous, really, right? So she did all that, you know, in the 70s. She did that, and she didn't have any role models really to look up to, right? She was like a pioneer in that respect, you know what I mean? She knew that she didn't like or need to be where she was. So she took her family, she moved freaking provinces over and finished like her grade 12, and then moved to Saskatoon to be in the Indigenous Teachers Program, ITEP or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And even that cool part is, like, when she went in there, it was the first year it was put on by the university, right? So that's pretty monumentous. And then she was one of the first graduates of it too. So like, that's huge, that's massive, you know what I mean? So, and then, yeah, so then she talks about, and further on, she talks about how she loved to do the walk from the education building at the U of S all the way to the train bridge or whatever. And that is a nice walk. It actually is. And it would have been a little bit cooler back then because it would have been a little bit more wild. And they had the ski jump back then too and everything like that. So yeah, it was just an inspiring story that just showed me like how ahead of the curve Indigenous people always are when it comes to like societal constructs, right? You know what I mean? And it showed me how, it reminded me of like how strong someone could be all on their own and to see something and achieve it. And yeah, she's just an incredible woman, super inspiring. You know, there's a lot of heaviness that we deal with as Indigenous people and Indigenous artists, and it's really nice to get a story that was full of hope and courage and bravery. And yeah, so I really wanted to reflect that with my audio piece. I could have got bogged out in some really like sad, morose songs or whatever, but what I really wanted to do was I felt uplifted by her story. So I wanted the bit of audio that I created to be uplifting and upbeat as well.
Nice.
And as someone, oh, sorry.
I was just going to ask you to
jump on that. As someone that's been fortunate enough, because it's coming through the company, I got to listen to all the stories. So with Danny's, yes, I agree. His it gives you that uplifting feeling, but also it just makes that memory moment so special and just there before these types of things are forgotten, or the ones that share these memories are forgotten. So I'm just fortunate enough for the work that Danny, his bro, Sean, Zoe, Roy, they're all so unique with their pieces. And I wish I could share them all with you, but that's what Thursday is for. But I could say that they're wonderful.
So when it launches, tell us a bit more about what that will look like, Jen. So what can people expect on Thursday when it kind of opens up to the public? How do they access it and that kind of thing?
All they have to do is go to the website and it'll take you directly to the stories, the mapping. They just click on a location, or that you can actually go to the physical site. If they have an MP3 player or something, they could just be in that location and listen to the story. And yeah, it's all marked out on a map. It's, I don't have the list on me, but there's a spot where you kind of, if you're going in person, and it's very beautiful. But yes, as soon as you click on the site, it'll take you right to the stories. And the Vancouver ones are up. So if they wanted to get an early idea and to check out those amazing stories, I do recommend checking those out.
So what are the websites that they go to? So gtnt.ca is probably the Saskatoon one, hey?
Yeah, it's all over our posted Facebook, the Indigenous NAC Center. All the links are very easily accessible.
Awesome. So tell us more about this whole process and the collaboration with NAC and where that all came from, because you were telling me a bit before we started, and yeah.
It was they had reached out to me sometime before Christmas last year with this project, Indigenous Cities. So they wanted to have a phone call, and we had that conversation of, let's we're making this giant storytelling, like in our traditional sense of the oral storytelling, and picking these moments and memories from the past and just kind of bringing new life into them. So 5 memory holders, 5 artist curators, and you're able to curate, as long as it's an audio piece, you were allowed to make it the way that you want to, but without losing that sole purpose of the memory. So if you wanted to do that memory in spoken word, song, a play, monologue, and it's the duration of 10 minutes, and then it gets put up. So it's really bringing back our original way of just storytelling. And it's something that although I am an actor, but for this kind of concept, I've never done this before. So it was a lot of fun. I also knew it was going to be challenging just because I've just going over everything, editing, things like that, what can really make these, and then also collaborating with our memory holders. If there was more context or anything needed, we would have those conversations with our memories. I think I might have lost my train of thought there. So, sorry about that.
How did you do the call up for the memory holders? Did you contact people that you thought of, or did they reach out to you, or a little bit of both? Or
there was both. We did the call out, and so we were receiving submissions, and then there was also folks, if there was something else that would be needed to this pot, then I would reach out. I believe Danny was one of them, and I'm glad he said yes, because he did an amazing job. But it was, yeah, we got the memories submitted first and then the artists, I believe.
Nice. So Danny, as a musician, did you pull some music into yours, or did you just kind of just go straight for spoken word, or what did you do? Or do we have to wait?
Oh, yeah, I kind of tried to do everything I do. Like, so in the piece, I recorded some piano, actually on this piano here. It's a really nice piano. It's like an electronic one or whatever. So there's piano in there, there's bass in there, there's guitar in there, there's drums in there. It's like everything you hear, I played, and performed and recorded and all that stuff. All my little home studio kind of thing I have going on. So I did it all from home, all by myself. And what it is it's a monologue over music and 3 songs. So it's like a little mini like concept album if you really like look at it. One of the songs is just an instrumental at the end, and the reason why I chose an instrumental was because like memories are like so hard to hold and to feel, and they're just fleeting moments, and you don't and they're not fully formed thoughts in your brain, but you can feel them and you connect with them and they're strong. So I just tried to have that explored through with music, where I created this soundscape that connected with me, hopefully the same way it connected with everybody else. And then I kind of wrote, and then at the beginning of the piece, I read her memory as a monologue. So I included my acting in there a little bit, and then one of the second song, I guess, I tried to kind of because I'm a comedian, I tried to get a little like be kind of cute and funny with it a little bit, and yeah, so I hope it comes through as like kind of a cute, fun song. And the first song, that one is kind of more of a full send at trying to be a serious song, I guess. And the first song has lots to it too. It's fun. There's a little bit of there's some acoustic bass in there. There's a bit of orchestral sounds. I don't know. It was great times. Yeah, it's basically a short little concept album that I made.
Sounds fun. Sounds really
Oh
fun.
yeah, and it was mixed and mastered by Andrew Toe is his name. So yeah, he mixed and mastered it for me, which is great.
Nice. It's good to have a team to pull that kind of thing together. So
yeah, I can record it, I can perform it, but like when it comes to like mixing and like mastering, I have no idea. Like people go to school for that stuff. So
yeah, it's always good to have experts. Maybe Jen, do you want to talk a bit about kind of like what it makes me think of is theater in COVID times, where this is like anybody can go and access this on their own or with a socially distant group, or any kind of
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, like, we're still getting through like the tail end of this pandemic, but that's the one, like the beautiful thing about this is you can either go to these locations, experience what those moments are, or if you're just in your home and you're going on the website, they have it all provided on there. And not just like the hearing, they also put work into like video of like kind of also like filming the pathway of where these memories and moments are, to give you that feeling, really just bringing that to life in the digital realm. So I love how accessible that we made it, whether it is pandemic or not pandemic, and it's just for everyone to experience.
Yeah, I hope that people actually go on the walk, because like we all well, not all of us, but a few of us had like many locations in our thing, and like I plan a walk. So you want to walk, and you want to listen to it as you walk, and that'll heighten the experience a whole other level.
Kind of nice to get a workout while you're watching theater.
Oh, dude, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just listening, because I went to these locations to, so I was just like hearing the memories in my mind, but also like taking in the beauty. And not so one of the stories that had taken place, in the 20th Street area, there's a stigma about that area. And I was like, we don't really want to go there, but there's also a lot of beauty in that area. And, you know, whether you want to be there or not, I think it's, yeah, like it gets a lot of stigma. Um, and it doesn't need to be. There's just people that have stories to tell. There's memories that are good, bad, and it's just a part of our city. It's a part of us.
That's an awesome way of putting it. You mentioned before we started the show, you were talking a little bit of the memory you curated, and I wonder if you could talk a bit about that, because normally you're the artistic director and you're kind of running all over the place and doing meetings and producing and organizing and reach outs and kind of all that busy work. But this time you got to work as an artist, which was where you started. You started as a theater artist with Circle of Voices, and so yeah, just tell us a bit about that piece.
Yeah, you know, it's funny being the oldest and youngest person part of this company for a long time. But yeah, when I had reached out to Irene, because I feel like there was something that was like missing as our Indigenous cities here, and I thought I'd ask his adopted daughter, Irene Oakes, if she wanted to submit a memory, and I was fortunate to be gifted this memory of a coffee date that she had with Gordon at the time. And it was asking her to be a part of the GTNT board, because he also knew that she would help keep that culture alive and part of our theater company. And at first she was hesitant to take it. But then when she thought more and more on it, she felt it was important that she stepped into that role and oversee that. And there was also those moments where she had inkling of like, he was kind of like, it was during the time when he wasn't feeling well, and would just kind of, she felt like there was these inklings of he was sicker than he was letting on. And I thought that was just such a beautiful moment for her, because it was something important to her. And I just felt the need to help take care and curate that memory in any way I could, and as honestly as I could, even though this is not the part of theater that I've ever done, was curating an audio piece, but also doing justice to this man that's made such an impact on Saskatoon, myself, or Indigenous communities everywhere. So I'm just like, a simple coffee day can just have such an impact on your life, and just a beautiful memory and moment to live. And also, if you're in the area, grab a coffee. That's, yeah. So I'm very fortunate that Irene gifted this memory, and I also shared it with her. And I'm glad that I was able to bring my heart and honesty into it with what I had, because I'm definitely not a musician. So I was fortunate to have Danny's memory holder's daughter, Juanita Singbird, who just wrote Spirit World. I had approached her about this project, and I felt like it was, because it was almost completed my piece, but it was missing something. So I had actually talked to Juanita, and she gifted me a song to use. I'm not going to give it away though. You'll have to listen for that on Thursday. So it's been a phenomenal project to be part of, and just seeing these artists curate the memories in such a different, unique way.
That's awesome, because Juanita was on the show, probably, as you know, a couple weeks ago with Spirit World, and she actually did sing for us. So yeah, she's got a beautiful voice, and she's a great musician as well. So it's so nice to have all this talent. So tell us a bit more about, so there's yourselves, so there's Jennifer Dawn Bishop, there's Danny Knight, then there's Sean Cuthand and Zoe Roy, and there's one more. Who am I missing?
Lancelot Knight.
Lancelot Knight, right? Yes. Yeah, and so there's these 5 memories in 5 different locations that you can access. And then Vancouver has 5 memories, and Ottawa has 5 memories, and it's called Indigenous Cities.
Yes.
And, so a little bit, just like, we just only have like a couple minutes left, but maybe if you each want to just give a quick thought about the idea of Indigenous cities, because it's an interesting term, right? Like, and so, yeah, just talk about that.
Whoopsie doodle. Indigenous face. Sorry, you kind of cut out there for a second. Andrea,
Yeah,
Andrea?
sorry. And yeah, can you repeat that? Sorry, my internet's unstable. So I'm like,
Okay. Yeah, just the idea of Indigenous cities, like the idea of Indigenous cities, putting those two words together and talking about that a little bit.
Aha, Tapwechi. Yeah, it's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? Right? Because we didn't really like, aside from a few of the tribes, most tribes, especially these Crees, didn't really make cities. You know what I mean? We were nomadic creatures. So yeah, it's kind of an oxymoron. It's kind of neat. It's kind of cool. It's a good title. But yeah, it's a bit oxymoronic if you ask me.
I don't
And
know
yeah,
if I could follow that. That is a good way of putting it, Danny.
I like the idea that you guys bring the Indigenous to the cities and bring the cities to the Indigenous, and yeah, it's very neat. So we have about a minute left. Any other comments that you wanted to make about the whole process and about the program itself?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's a super cool idea. It's super amazing to get a bit of work during this whole pandemic, especially as a theater artist. It was really fulfilling to do something like this, and I'm just gonna give a big shout out to Jen for reaching out to me, and a big shout out to the National Arts Center for putting this together.
You are most welcome, and thank you for gifting us your abilities. And just, yeah, grateful to be here, grateful for the memories, because memories can be lost, and they could, and then I just hope that we help keep them where they're meant to be.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly it. I think that's a huge thing about Indigenous History Month, right? And Indigenous Peoples Month, and you know, frankly, I think it should be Indigenous Peoples Year every year. But yeah, I mean, it's important to I mean, the keepers of the land, the stories are there, right? And so it's important to tell them and share them. So that's all the time we have for tonight. But Kishi Marcy to our relatives tonight. So Danny Knight and Jennifer Dawn Bishop talking about Indigenous cities. You can catch that. Check out gtnt.ca. Look for it Thursday, June 10th, starting then. Is there a stop date? Like, does it end at a certain point or anything?
Nope, it'll be around.
It'll be around. You can catch it whenever you're feeling like you need some stories in your life. So Kishi Marcy to our relatives tonight, and Niwa Gamagana, all my relations. Believe me, we are all related. So act like you got relations. This is Auntie Andy signing out from Homelands, originally produced on CFCR Community Radio, 90.5 FM in Saskatoon. Homelands of the Métis and Treaty 6 Territory, CFCR.ca. You can find excellent programming on Indian Cowboy Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Métis Homelands, or email homelands@gmail.com. This episode will also be viewable on our YouTube channel, Homelands. So subscribe today. Marcy, thank you for listening. And Akoshi, Kawapa Matino Almina. That's all. We'll see you later.